Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com. Mike P. Kristan H. The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com.
What up, guys? We are live here. It is Monday, April 13th, live on the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. Mike Pachesney, Kristan Harris. And we have a guest tonight, Kristan.
Sure do. L.A. Marzulli will be joining us once again here on the Rundown Live. It'll be a very exciting and action-packed hour for you guys here out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're really excited to have him back on. Last time he was on, we talked a lot about giants and human skeletons, the Paracas skulls, and things of that nature. I think this show we're going to do a lot of interesting conversation. We're going to get into some cool things. And make sure you guys send us your questions for LA in the chat, because we can always ping those off of him as well. And there you can get in the chat at therundownlive.com/live. So, yeah, very exciting show. I'm really excited to really get into things, Mike. But overall, this weekend was pretty, it wasn't very adventurous. It's a very low-impact weekend, or not a whole lot going on.
Flying weekend, apparently.
Yeah, real low flying, I guess. There wasn't much going on.
Other than the usual standard adventuring we like to have,
Right.
Adventuring.
Well, we should also mention we're going to have
forget about the announcement today. Mrs. Clinton is officially in the race, and I thought she's dead in the water, remember? But here we go.
Well, what better president than Hillary? Obviously we need a crook to run a corrupt empire, and that's what we have here in America. So my guess is that you're going to either see Jeb Bush Hillary or Scott Walker Hillary, something of that nature. And maybe if the globalists really have to stomach it, a Ted Cruz Hillary, because, his wife sits on a Council of Foreign Relations, and there is no CFR, as we talked about.
For everyone's safety. But last time LA was on, we had a lot of fun. We talked Paracas skulls. We got into some ancient alien history. And I think we're going to have some disclosure talk this time. We're going to talk getting to
UFOs,
more depth.
maybe.
Right, yes.
We don't really go there too often, but he has a pile of evidence that's fascinating. In fact, that I did do over the weekend. I did catch up on my L.A. Marzulli. I did probably about 10 hours of looking over videos and watching. I was very captivated by a lot of this stuff. The other stuff I was like, maybe, but at the other time you have to have a debate about it. So very interesting information there. But if you guys want to find out more about this show today and who's going to be on the rest of this week, by the way, we have a bunch of amazing guests on this week on the Rundown Live. If you haven't checked, we actually have been filling the calendar up. So make sure you guys check it out. Great guests, great people coming all week long on the Rundown Live. So very interesting. Tomorrow we have Glenn Zarmanov. So that'll be interesting. We'll be talking about the occult 9/11. So above and beyond that, guys, make sure you guys head on down to the rundownlive.com and check out the latest information on there. We have new articles up daily. You can find out who we're having on the show, or if you want to submit a guest or information, you can actually find it there at the rundownlive.com. So make sure you do that. Also, share it on your social media network, on Facebook, on Twitter, all the other awesome networks that are out there. There's a lot of different social media networks going out there every day. It helps us beat those evil algorithms. So definitely do that. If you're interested in supporting what we do here at the Rundown Live, there's no better way than checking out private internet access. Private internet access allows you to surf the internet anonymously. You can check your email, you can download, you can conversate, you can do just about anything anonymously. Let's not forget, guys, privacy is freedom. If you get banned from video games such as World of Warcraft or Call of Duty and things of that nature. This will also help you avoid those bans. So if you want to support us and get something in return, $39.95, not a bad deal, Mike, right? We use it daily here. So I think it's a great product, and it's something that's pretty neat. So check that out. Private internet access banner on the website. Support what we do. You guys can also donate to us if you'd like to support this broadcast. You can donate, $1 or $5 a month or $10 or whatever you feel willing to donate to us. We can really basically, we really appreciate everyone that's really been supporting us. We've been doing all right. So keep the support out there and keep telling people about the Rundown Live. If you'd like to listen to us live, there's no better way than on TuneIn Radio. TuneIn Radio allows you to basically look up or get Mike and I and all these other awesome broadcasters on Truth Frequency 90.7 FM Denver. You can get Popeye and Kev Baker and Phoenix Rising, and of course Joe Joseph and all the guests that we've had on the show. So check it out. It's a free app, cell phone, tablet. Grab it now. Type TuneIn Radio and follow us on there today. If you can't catch us live on TuneIn Radio or the rundownlive.com/live, there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. But there's no better way than to download the Rundown Live app. The app is something that Mike and I put out there for you guys for free. You can actually listen to our past episodes at your convenience. You can download them, do cool things like send us emails, visit our Facebook, visit our Twitter from this. If you record news on your cell phone immediately, you can actually send it directly to us or send us your guest request right now straight from the app. So it's a wonderful tool. I use it all the time, and it's free. Mike and I put this out there for you guys. Share it with your friends. Download it on their phone. I want to thank our syndication, FPRN Radio, Truth Frequency Denver 90.7 FM, Liberty Talk FM, Liberty Movement. And we're now brought to you guys all by All Time Conspiracies on YouTube. Make sure you guys check out All Time Conspiracies and search for The Rundown Live. We have almost every episode, plus limited edition episodes on there that I've done in that mystery school. And those are available via our podcast app that's free, the Rundown Live podcast app on your cell phone, your tablet, Google Play, iTunes, everything of that. But tonight we have a special guest. L.A. Marzulli is joining us. And, there's a lot of weird things going on in the world today, a lot of information that's out there on the websites that you probably didn't have access to, so you can make a better decision on what's really happening in the world. Huh, Mike?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't really even know where this conversation is going to go. Starting here from the beginning, it always ends up somewhere good, but there's so much out there when we talk about hidden history and the idea of, recorded history is how maybe 5,000 years back, a little bit further. But before that, it's kind of a blur. We knew we found dragon skeletons and we call them dinosaurs, but, don't need to argue about that.
That's true. You don't know. The word dinosaur wasn't really invented, I believe, until the 1800s. So what did they call them before they called them dinosaurs, Mike? They might have called them things like dragons. And I think it's very interesting that you see dragons written down in history and that we have that folklore with dragons and dinosaurs, which in my opinion could be the same thing because, the word dinosaur wasn't around back in the day. So
this really makes you challenge the concept of life too in general, because obviously there were some other forms of life here on Earth at one point. So why couldn't things be different? We have to keep an open mind.
Well, not only that, why is the history we're taught the absolute fact? Why can't we challenge it? And if you challenge it, why do you have to be ridiculed? Why can't you have a quality conversation about what really partook in history, what really happened in history? And, that's always changing because as we know throughout history, the winners of wars have rewritten history and a lot of history gets destroyed. So I think we actually have L.A. Marzulli with us. L.A., how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Kristan. Mike, how you guys?
We're doing good, man. We're doing real good.
It's good to have you back, though.
Good to be here.
Yeah, and we were just going over about how history is very different than what we've been told. Every year, it seems like I'm finding out new facts, such as, obviously Christopher Columbus didn't discover America, things of that nature. And even going back further, you start to realize history, as we've been taught, is not really the true history that is out there.
Or what about NASA just coming out and saying, yeah, we're going to find life in the next 15 to 20 years, but don't worry about everything we said prior to this.
And that's what I would call soft disclosure. Interestingly enough, when John Podesta left the Obama administration last year, from 2014 to 2015, he talked about, out of everything he could have stated, Podesta comes on the record and goes, gee, I wish I had done more to tell the American people about UFOs. I wish I could have done more to disclose to the American people about the so-called extraterrestrial presence. I mean, think about it. This is John Podesta from the Obama administration, excuse me, basically coming straight out and saying, they're real, they're here, I know about it, and I wish I could have done more to reveal it to the American people. That's just a startling claim.
And it's complex. Sorry, go ahead, Kristan.
No, I was going to say, wasn't it Bill Clinton who said when he gets in, the first thing he's going to do is rush in there and expose all these documents? And then he was, on some nighttime talk or nighttime television show recently, he said, yep, nothing really there to see, So it makes you wonder.
Well, absolutely. It certainly makes you wonder. Look, there's stuff in the skies all the time. I'm going to show you something this is from our book, Further Evidence, which is a real sleeper book. It's got all these wonderful pictures, but look at this. This is from the Popocatépetl volcano in Mexico. And what we have is we've got this object which is descending into the Popocatépetl volcano here and here. And guess what? You can't do that because the volcano it's not hollow. It's just that there's a crater up there. They flew around it in an ultralight and film it. There's a crater. So this object is coming down into the volcano and basically disappears. I mean, what are we looking at here? It is just unbelievable. Let me show you another shot here. Where you can see this. This is right on the bottom here. This is a flotilla, and all this is courtesy Jaime Maussan, by the way. This is a flotilla of UFOs over Mexico City, which was videotaped by countless people. It was like triangulated from different parts of the city. Everybody's kind of going, oh my gosh, what's this? The skeptics go, oh, it's a bunch of balloons. Oh, it's a flock of birds. No, it's not.
It's birds, right? No, I remember.
It's always balloons and birds, always.
I remember. I just can't even imagine saying something that high in the sky, way up above the clouds. Oh, it's just birds, maybe cranes. I'm not sure.
Or it's coal gas. I found an article from the 1800s of UFO sightings, and the locals said it was coal gas, but yet the horses and groups of people went out there chasing them up to the mountain, and they said they danced all over the sky, and it was like bright as day out in the middle of the night. But that's just coal gas for you.
Well, look, I mean, the whole UFO phenomena is just not going away. I mean, it's there are reports that come across my desk. Interesting enough, there was a woman in Texas who gave us a photograph. I mean, it's her photograph. It's just incredible. And Richard sent it to me this morning, and we've been talking about this. You look at the photograph, and there's a light in the sky. Okay, how many times have we seen that? But what Rick did is he blew it up. Rick's got all these Photoshop. He's able to do that, stick it in Photoshop and mess with it. And what we saw was basically a craft. Now, the craft is a good distance away, but when you enlarge it, it's not a, excuse me, it's not a lens flare. It's not another object. It is a craft. And it looks very similar to the classic disc shapes that we see throughout, the last 50, 60 years, since Roswell, basically. So we found that sort of interesting. This happens on a weekly basis. We get people sending us clips, videos, photographs, telling us stories of encounters. I mean, look, the fact that NASA comes out and goes, well, in the next 20 years, we're going to discover extraterrestrial life. So everybody go back to sleep. No one does anything. Think about it, guys. Where everybody's so asleep that NASA just runs that out, and they know, well, what will the sheeple do now? The sheeple do nothing. The churches don't say anything about it. Everybody goes about their daily life. This is what people do. They sit on their stupid iPhones and go like this all day. Go to the airport. Everybody's like this. Everybody's completely in cyberspace. No one looks at what's going on. You know, NASA comes out with this, with a statement like this. Where's the outrage? Why aren't we storming the Bastille? Why are we, getting in a convoy and driving down there and go, okay, what do you guys know that we don't know? But no one cares. No one gives a flip. No one talks about it. It is unbelievable. I mean, and they just throw this number out. 20 years from now. What if it's 10 years? What if it's 5 years? What if it's next month? You get where I'm going with this?
Well, what I'm thinking is they already have made contact, and that's why they're making a time frame.
Right. I don't think it was really birds, by the way. That's the thing. We already are seeing this stuff, and they're
Phoenix lights were just birds. Don't mind the big triangles in the sky.
Oh yeah,
you said it
by thousands of witnesses. And by the way, I got to plug this book because it's a sleeper book. I sat down with Dr. Lynn Katai. She is, Miss Phoenix Lights. She's the one that photographed them. She had the video. I mean, she's written a book on it, The Phoenix Lights. We differ as to what we're looking at. But she was there. And she actually, when I interviewed her, she talked about seeing these golden orbs that appeared, 3 of them, that appeared right near her house. She, overlooked the city of Phoenix. So she was in a remote area away from the city and had this panoramic view of the city. And these orbs appeared, in a number of times to her. She would go out and just stare at them, and then they would disappear. Well, on the night of the Phoenix Lights, guess what? I mean, she's there. She sees this thing. This triangular craft was at least a mile wide. At least a mile wide. And it was seen by thousands and thousands of people. Heck, the former governor, Fife Symington, went on the record. First he made fun of it. He had some guy dressed up in an alien suit. He's told to do that. 2 press conferences in one day. They always yuck it up. They always make fun. Well, we think we found a perpetrator. We think we found our little green man, and he dressed some guy up, in an alien suit. The guy comes in the press conference.
I saw
Everybody yucks it up. Well, on the 10th anniversary, 207, Fife Symington is on the Larry King show. And the first thing he does when King calls on him is he apologizes to his former constituents in Arizona and saying, look, guys, I was there. I saw the craft. It was not of this world. I mean, what do you do with that? And this is all soft disclosure, and yet you go to the Christian churches, nope, gag order, can't talk about it. You can't talk about it with your friends. You get to, oh my gosh, here he goes again with the ET thing. Look, the bottom line is this. Ancient prophetic texts warn us. 2,000 years ago, Yeshua states openly, he says, guess what? Even the elect would be deceived. Men would faint from fear from what is coming upon the earth. When we start combining some of this prophetic literature together, and we look at what's manifesting in the skies, do we understand that when they show up, and if it's not 20 years, if it's only 20 months or 20 hours from now, whatever it is, when they show up, it's a major, major game changer. Everything changes. Life as we know it changes. And this is what's at stake.
Well, they don't want you to read into the books of Jasher or Enoch or anything that describe colonization and that angels in the heavens were thrown on this planet and that maybe there was life here before man prior for a little bit. Maybe that's a revolutionary concept. Maybe there was smart, intelligent life here before us. Obviously, look at the structures around the world. It's amazing to think that we're naive enough to think that stuff that we can't make today came about by man that was unintelligent.
We clearly built that. Yes. We didn't inherit any of those structures.
Speaking of structures, let me get to one of my favorites. And when it's one thing to show you a picture of this, it's another thing when you stand in Peru at Sacsayhuaman and I'm looking at the ruins there, which were just absolutely just mind-boggling. I'll try to get to it here because what we saw there was, just here it is. That's Sacsayhuaman.
That's huge. Those are like megalithic structures. Those, the people are like ants in front of those big bricks.
I'll show you the close up here. This is all from On the Trail of a Nephilim 1. I just love Skype like this because people can see what we're talking about. Look at this guy right here. Here's Ryan Moorhead. Look at this structure. Look at the rock right here. Check that out, man.
Well, you know, they rolled that over on wood blocks there, LA. They lit
wood blocks, sure. Look at the joinery here.
Look at the masonry. Look at the work. It's like they're like soldered together almost. They're not equal in size. Every block is a different size.
Every block is different size. Some of the larger ones weigh 120 tons. No one has a clue as to how they did this. And here's the deal. When you go back in the Neolithic, they've got no iron. It's not the Iron Age, Neolithic Age. All right, so they got copper, and you can harden the copper. But, you know, all these stones are quarried 40 miles away and then brought to the site. Well, how was that possible? How the heck do you take 120, you know, megalithic stone and cart this thing when your beast of burden is a llama? I mean, give me a break.
I would ask Edward Leeds Scullman. Edward Leeds Scullman might know.
Well, we were there. I was actually at Coral Castle.
Oh, nice.
And there's a lot of it that we debunked very quickly. You know, it's like when you're actually on the site, that's what's so important. You got to do your own research. You got to go to the site. And what we realized is that he moved the castle there, and he had a series of pulleys and wedges and all this stuff. And we actually saw the quarry where he quarried out the limestone blocks and then moved them. However, the one part of the castle that intrigued me was the gate. And this gate, I think, was like 13 tons, and it spun like this, which meant you had to find the center of gravity dead. I mean, that's got to be perfect, right? And he used a ball bearing from a truck. That was it on the bottom here. And you could push it. A child could push this thing. Here's the rub, and this is the one artifact out of Coral Castle that I just went, wait a minute, something else is going on here. Because he drilled a hole all the way through the limestone perfectly. Perfectly. Now, you know, can you do that? Yeah, you can. I get it. But to find the center of gravity on this stone and then to drill it, the hole perfectly, and have that thing balanced, I mean, if there's nothing supernatural about it, it's an incredible feat of engineering from a man who had simple tools. So, I mean, I look at that and I go, wow, the jury's not out. But that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about in Sacsayhuaman. When we look at these, look at this. This is Brian Forrester, and he's sitting in this huge, we call them the thrones in Sacsayhuaman, and it's very deliberate. What is that there for? Look at these stones here and realize that there's not one that's the same. They're all different. They're all polygonal shapes, and yet all the stones fit perfectly. Now, how do you do that when in the Neolithic all you've got is a copper chisel, and these stones are andesite? And andesite is about 7 on Mohs hardness. There's no way you can shape the stone. You can't do it with a copper chisel. And you present this to archaeologists and masons, and everybody kind of looks at you and laughs nervously. And what we get all the time from academia, this is the answer. Well, LA, the technology was obviously lost, thousands of years ago. Wait a minute. Come on, guys. I mean, that's the catch-all basin. You know, it's a straw man argument. What do you mean the technology was lost? The technology wasn't lost. It was taken away. Whoever did this left no vestiges, no tools, nothing. The Sacsayhuaman itself, that's the signature. Hey, guys, look what we made. Hey, guess what? You can't make this in modernity with your lasers and diamond saws and everything else. You'd be hard-pressed to do it. 120-ton objects carted from 40 miles away. And here's what's interesting, guys. And we got this when we talked to Robert Salas, who was actually abducted. We interviewed him in Watcher 7. And he talked about he was at Maelstrom Air Force Base when the UFO hovered over the base and shut the base down. Basically, all the missiles went green. All the missiles went green. In other words, they're live. These are intercontinental ballistic missiles sitting in silos, 60, 80 feet down, whatever. The UFO hovers, all of a sudden, they lose control of the missiles. They don't launch them, but they lose control of the missiles. What was interesting was 70 miles away, there was another site, and there were these blast doors like this, a blast door over the silo. The blast door, which weighed, I think, 20 tons, was picked up and moved to the side and set down. Wait a minute. Is there a link? And this is what we found so fascinating. Is there a link between the modern day UFO phenomena and the fact that that blast door was lifted up and then moved to the side, is it the same technique? Is it the same power that was used then in 1976, whenever it was, at Maelstrom, or that base next to Maelstrom, as we see in Sacsayhuaman? And the short answer to that for us is there seems to be a connection. Can't prove it, but there's a connection. 20-ton blast door, 20-ton megalithic stones.
Well, that's an amazing feat nonetheless for an average human being to do even back then, L.A. I think it's fascinating to look at things, even places like Pumapunku or places all across the world. There's plenty of evidence of megalithic structures. By the way, we're going to be coming across a 3-minute break here, L.A., and okay. I think it's pretty interesting, though. I have to mention that people are so naive to think that ancient man can build structures that we can't even do today. They said the pyramids were made in, 20 years? Well, maybe they had a little help there with the pyramids. And, I think those pyramids serve multiple purposes. They weren't just burial tombs, as far as I can tell. So,
and I would concur. The Great Pyramid has nothing to do with the burial chamber, in my opinion. Nothing.
Yeah,
who's benefiting from hiding all this technology too? Because that's what we see. We see authorities, kind of hiding this hidden knowledge and hoarding it away for themselves. And when we come back from the break, we're definitely going to get into LA's new project. He has a new DVD series out, Watchers 8. We're going to talk about what's really in there and
disclosure, maybe a little bit.
He wants to show us as well. So we're going to be getting into a lot of cool stuff here in a few minutes, guys.
Sounds good.
Yep, and so, you guys hang in there. Make sure you guys check out therundownlive.com. Get in the chat, guys. therundownlive.com/live is where it's at. You guys can text us or message us your questions in the live chat. We'll try to take a few of them as we can if you have questions for LA. I know there's just an incredible amount of evidence and information surrounding this subject, guys. So, guys, make sure you guys check in, hang out there, and check out therundownlive.com.
Degrees of Insanity with Donnie Gilson.
Sunday on Truth Frequency Radio. The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com. Mike P. Kriston H. Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com.
The rundown.
All right, guys, we have L.A. Marzulli with us, author, and he's made a bunch of amazing movies, and he was in Washington on Disclosure. They had hearings last year on Disclosure, and one of the very interesting things I saw there were individuals who had chips planted underneath their skin, and to me, that's just eerie and creepy. I wanted to get a little bit more to. We talked a little bit about the history and how history might have been different than what we've seen, and that maybe we had a little helping hand here by some advanced species visiting us. So I kind of want to get into the modern day watchers and things of that sort. I know implants is one of the things that I was very interested about. You saw at this disclosure meetings that there were individuals that had metal objects removed from their body, and those metal objects actually moved when doctors tried to take them out, like they were trying to prevent being extracted from the body. So it's very interesting stuff there, L.A.
Well, first of all, I was not at the Washington Disclosure.
Oh, you weren't? I apologize.
That's okay. We had all the tapes. We basically had access to all the tapes, all the video footage. In fact, Richard Shaw, my business partner, director, producer of the Watchers series, actually did some of the editing just to help out with it's just voluminous amount of tape. So we had access and we were able to use a lot of that. But our connection with the late Dr. Roger Leir goes back to the very first Watchers film, which is now almost 5 years old. For me, it goes back to 1999. My first book, Nephilim. When I wrote the book, I went down to see this guy, another author from Israel, who had written the book, The Return of a Nephilim. And I went and saw him at a MUFON meeting, and that's where I met Dr. Roger Leir. And Dr. Leir, this is like 1999, and he goes, and he introduced himself, and I said, "Oh, you're the gentleman who lives in my backyard. I live in Santa Monica Mountains. He's in Westlake." And he goes, "Yeah, we just did our first operation." I go, "What did the implant look like?" And typical of Roger, he goes, "Well, you want to take a look at it?" And he reaches into his coat pocket and takes the vial and dangles the thing in front of me, and then opens it up, and I put out my hand, and I had the implant in my hand in 1999. So Dr. Leir, and here he is at the disclosure hearing. This is all from Further Evidence book. There he is, Dr. Roger Leir. And here we are in SEAL Lab. This shot right here. We're at SEAL Laboratories. And Dr. Roger Leir, Stephen Colburn. This is actually the implant that we took out in Watchers 8. He's actually pointing to it. What's interesting is in Watchers 7 and Watchers 8, we track the whole process from, okay, this guy's name is Bill, not his real name. He was abducted when he was 5 years old. He's now 45 years old. He believes he has an implant. Okay, great. Is he smoking something or is it real? So the first thing we do is we do an X-ray. And of course, we've talked about this before, but we cut to the chase. We did an X-ray, CAT scan, Gauss meter, which measures the magnetic field, a regular stud finder, gee, there's something metallic there. Took and did an ultrasound at the surgeon's. Yeah, there's something metallic there. We'll take it out in 2 weeks. But the day of the operation comes, and we can't find the thing. One prayer changes everything. We talk about this in Watchers 8 exclusively. And the prayer was something like this: Father, if there are forces that are cloaking this device, I pray that you would break their power and do it soon. Less than 2 minutes later, the implant comes in to like this. It just kind of comes whoom, just like that on the ultrasound monitor. And it shouldn't be doing that. It should not have appeared that way. Just, again, there's nothing there, and all of a sudden it just goes like this, right in your face. And we all went, whoa, my gosh, what's that? And of course, that was the implant, and we removed it. And 2 days later, we were in SEAL Lab. The moment was not lost on Dr. Roger Leir. When I confronted him about this, and I said, Roger, I hope you realize that what happened in that operating room. And he looked at me and says, L.A., I now believe that there's a supernatural component to the abduction implant phenomenon. I'm going to tell Whitley Strieber about it. So again, this is like cutting edge stuff where the supernatural meets hardcore science in an operating room, where one prayer changes the atmosphere of the whole thing.
Well, yeah, and it's amazing how, prayer, a lot of people swear by it, that does amazing things. And maybe the spiritual realm is something that science just cannot explain yet, because let's not forget, not everything can be explained by science nowadays, can it?
Sure.
So, yeah, I think that's whole creepy. So how do you think these implants were getting there? Do these people know? Is there a common denominator in people who are having these items removed from their skin?
Well, all these people have claimed to have been abducted. In other words, you're laying in a room and your bed or whatever with your wife or husband or whatever it is, and you have the sensation that there are entities in the room. Now, it's different for each person. Sometimes the people are awake. Sometimes they're very, very much aware that something's about to happen. They usually awaken and they find themselves paralyzed. They look over with their eyes and they see the little grays that are there, which is obviously terrifying. They are floated above the bed and out the window they go. And everybody, Dr. David Jacobs talks about this in Watchers 7 and 8 and also in Further Evidence. Every single person, when they start to fly through the window, they have the same question. Are they going to open the window? How are we going to get through the window? And what happens? They go through the window, which is a different physics. Now, remember, when Jesus rose again from the dead, the disciples are huddled up in the upper room. What does he do? He walks through the wall. I mean, that's what it is. He's coming. He appears in that room. Now, however you want to say it, he's coming through the wall, and he just appears. And they all freak out and go, "Oh my gosh, a ghost!" And he goes, "No, it's me. Touch me. What do you guys got to eat?" There's no humor in the Bible. Total guy thing. What have you guys got to eat? Are you
hungry.
kidding me? Yeah, I'm really hungry. It's been 3 days. I'm kind of.
Mike knows all about being hungry.
Yeah,
Mike's hungry all the time.
It's unbelievable. But there's no humor in the Bible. Remember, he could have just gone, "Hey guys, it's me. I know you're not going to believe this. Jesus, I've risen from the dead. Don't be alarmed." No. What does he do? Ta-da! He just shows up in the room. When you actually go back and look at the biblical narrative, when Jesus is interacting with his disciples, he's always pushing the boundary. He's always because he can. Like when he sends them out in the boat and he goes, "Yeah, I'll catch up with you in a little while." So they're in the boat and they're pulling off from shore. And, when does the light bulb go off that, wait a minute, how's he going to catch up with us? There's no motorboats. What? How's this going to work? And they're out there sitting in the lake and they're all straining in the oars. And Jesus, of course, waits till it's late and he just takes a stroll on the water. Now, again, he should have called out the gentle Jesus, right, that we learned about in Sunday school. "Hey, guys, it's me. It's Jesus. I'm going to be walking on the water. Please don't freak out." No, he doesn't do that. He just walks on the water and they all go, "Surprise." Surprise, surprise, surprise. And, I mean, this is what's lost, the humor. The sort of the guy thing, guys goofing on each other like that, which is what
human,
we did.
Or was he? Or was he?
Fully God, fully man.
Yeah.
Fully God, fully man. Go figure. Don't ask me how that works. I have no idea.
Well, and it's very important to understand that Jesus was a very human person in many ways. He had a sense of humor. A lot of times Christians have difficulties. If you ask them when Jesus was a kid, did he color outside the box? Maybe he did, and they can't accept that Jesus may have colored outside of the boxes, but it's very interesting. Mike mentioned to me over Easter, he's like, "I think Jesus is an alien," in which, by definition, God himself, omnipotent being, could be transhumanist or alien for that matter, because look at the way the human race is going now. Now it's the lie in Eden, right? We're pretty close to being as if we are gods,
that's
but through our own work.
And in the classic sense, an angelic being manifesting on the planet is an extraterrestrial. This is not their home. So they are, in a classic definition, a extraterrestrial. Yeshua, Jesus, was not fully God, fully man. That's the incarnation. And he goes through, he lives in our space-time continuum until after the resurrection. And then he starts doing stuff. And then, of course, he finally leaves. But I believe he's coming back. I think the signs are here. The wars and rumors of war, the earthquakes, famines, pestilence, and it's all firing together. It's on all 8 cylinders, if I can use that analogy or metaphor, or whatever. But I mean, it's coming down, and I think we're going to start to see. We're already seeing stuff. I think it's just going to become manifest more and more as time goes on.
Do you think us reaching out to other planets has anything to do with all these visits now? There's rumors that we have space bases on the moon and possibly even Mars already. There's been rumors that thousands of astronauts, or maybe 1,000 at least, astronauts have died in space in secret NASA missions. Do you think any of that plays part, or do you think these aliens have always been visiting and it's just been, now with the internet and things like that, everything is just a lot more transparent?
I think it's a lot more transparent, but there seems to be flaps with the UFO stuff. They come and they go. They come and they go. It's a little cat and mouse game, which is constantly being played out with the UFO phenomena. Their agenda, in my opinion, is a highly malevolent one. I think that they are nefarious. I think that they are not extraterrestrial. I think they are interdimensional. And Jacques Vallée talks about this in his book, in his many books on the subject. And that's the paradigm that I hold to.
And to you, are Watchers and Nephilim the same thing? I know a lot of people believe these definitions, Nephilim, Rephaim, Watchers, these are different beings to some people. I was just curious, your interpretation of the definitions as far as what you believe is a Nephilim versus a Rephaim or versus a Watcher. Is there really different types of maybe aliens out there?
Well, not aliens. Again, I would use interdimensional being. What we're talking about is the angelic host of a different dimension, a heavenly realm. First of all, the Watcher angels are a class, a ranking of angels. They are not Nephilim. They are a ranking of angels. They are called Watcher angels. And guess what? there's both good ones and bad ones. We read in the book of Daniel about a holy one, a watcher that comes down. It's a class, a ranking of angels. We're reading Ephesians 6. Ephesians is a book that was written, put in our New Testament. It's basically written to a bunch of people living in a town called Ephesus about almost 2,000 years ago. And so Paul writes this letter to these people in Ephesus. Well, you could call the book Nebraska if you wanted to. If you know what I mean, it's just an address. It's not, Ephesians. It's just an address. The place was called Ephesus, and he's writing to the people in Ephesus who were called the Ephesians. That's it. And he says there are principalities, and he lists the cosmocrators, archons. He's listing all these different rankings of the angelic fallen angelic host of heaven. So the watcher angels, we have holy watchers which are good, and the watchers which are bad. The Nephilim are always the product of the union between the fallen angels of heaven and the women of earth. They come together sexually, and the byproduct of that unholy union is the Nephilim. The Rephaim, which you mentioned, is just one of the tribes of the Nephilim. The Rephaim are, again, a class of Nephilim is like the broader term. Anyone, a Nephil is singular, Nephilim is plural. So the Nephil is one. But the Rephaim, the Zamzumim, the Emims, these are all different tribes, and they seem to have different genetic characteristics to them.
Well, and that's very interesting as well. How do you feel about Sumerian texts and the Anunnaki and their relation to the Nephilim? Do you think there's a similarity between the two histories there?
Yeah, absolutely. The Anunnaki, they're winged beings. I mean, by the way, ISIL is destroying a lot of these relics all through Iraq right now, which is just unbelievable. They're erasing all of mankind's history, not only, from their little window in the world, they're erasing what belongs to all of us. And I take great umbrage with what they're doing over there, as well as the genocide of Christians. But these are winged beings is what they are. They are winged beings. What does that sound like? Go no further. We're talking about the fallen angelic host of heaven. And just because the Sumerian text has it, look, Zechariah Sitchin and Van Doniken and all these guys, the ancient aliens, they went to bank on this thing. But all we need to do is just go flip. Instead of calling it ancient astronauts, just go fallen angelic host of heaven. That's what we're looking at, in my opinion. These are the fallen angelic hosts. And when I say the word angel, people get all this, they have preconceived notions of what we're talking about.
Got wings and a halo and things, yeah.
It's not that at all. These are highly intelligent, powerful entities but they're still created, but they have lived thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Hey, LA, I have to mention something to you that I found very disturbing in those videos of the ISIS destroying the temples and those ancient monuments. Now, I've been watching the videos for some time, and I want you to watch them when you get a chance. There's metal bars in there. There's metal wire. What ancient what ancient civilization used metal bars and cement? Did they really use metal bars and cement? I noticed that. Nobody else noticed it. So I think these videos might be bad propaganda by the government to justify going to war, or they're just sending them to us, because I'm seeing metal bars actually in the news videos in the cement. So I don't know if these are reproductions that they're destroying, or maybe and I don't, but they don't look like ancient monuments since they have that metal rhubarb in there.
We do know people have destroyed history throughout time.
I wouldn't doubt that. But
their version.
Yeah, so I just want you to take a look at that. I found this very interesting because I was like, what kind of ancient cement had metal bars going through it? So this has to be a fake, or it's propaganda being used to justify us going to war, which isn't outside the realm of our government to do.
Yeah, certainly not. You have to show me the video and let me look at it.
I'll send it to you.
Some of these things could be reproductions. On the other hand, oftentimes when they remove a piece from let's say its normal site, they will reinforce. They will go in and reinforce the object so it doesn't come apart.
Yeah, no, this was actually in the cement. This was in the cement. I'm watching it on like Fox 4 News, and I'm like, this is absolutely fake. This is the ancient cement. Where did the metal bars come from? It was that obvious. But there's a lot of sheeple out there, and if you're not looking for it, it doesn't click.
Yeah, sure. Send me the link. I'll take a look.
I will. That. I'll definitely send that to you. But I found that very interesting. So maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I'm a little torn on that. But I do think it's interesting that the that the structures that they're claiming to destroy tie back to Nimrod, who is a very influential person in history. And he has ties, obviously, to Noah. He's the great-grandson of Noah, and obviously Noah survived the flood. And some people believe that the last king of Samaria is actually Noah, but we don't know that for sure. And I didn't know if you had a thought on that.
Well, I do. In my book, The Cosmic Chess Match, I addressed that. Nimrod became Nephilim, became Gibborim through ritualistic sex magic. Something's going on at Babel, which is they're trying to open up a gateway, open up the portal, and bring the fallen ones back in. That's what's going on. And remember, after that, we get Sodom and Gomorrah. They basically succeed. They open the gateway, they open the portal, and things have never been the same since. And we see this opening, even you could make a case, CERN, the whole idea of opening something interdimensional. What are you guys trying to do here? I mean, what is CERN really up to? And if they do succeed in opening up a gateway, how are they ever going to close it? Well, this is what happened with Nimrod thousands and thousands of years ago. And then we see the aftermath of that with Sodom and Gomorrah, when the angels go in to destroy the city, to get Lot out. The men of the city come up and they want to have sex with the angels. What the heck is that about? And, you know, most people in the churches just skip over that. Well, we won't go into that now, thank you.
Yeah.
There's something going on there. The men of the city, and I addressed this in the Cosmic Chess Match, the men of the city know that there's power with these angelic beings. They want the power. They want the union. Nothing has changed in thousands of years. It's like you were talking about before the break. It's the same old thing. It's the same old lie. You will be just like God. It's the same thing. And we always, humankind, mankind, we always bite at that bait, always.
Well, and that's just it. And I have to go back to Mike's question before the break here. Why do you think there's such a cover-up with groups like the Smithsonian, who has ties to the Rockefeller Association and secret societies such as Skull and Bones? You have this organization that seems to be at a lot of these giant digs, and who knows what else they're involved in, covering up historical information. Why are they hiding the truth? Do you think it's to support a false religion? Because nowadays we're seeing the combination of the state and the church. You have the Pope preaching global warming. You have, Common Core education right out of school. The kids are learning the state-run religion. Is this so they can offer a fake alternative reality that people are living in, so they don't know the truth, that they can actually be controlled easier? Or what's your opinion on this? I have very many different thoughts, but I wanted to get your thought on it.
Well, I mean, basically, to cut to the chase, what's happening here is they erase and deliberately do so anything that would point back to the supernatural, anything that would point to the veracity of the biblical narrative. For instance, the Shroud of Turin, and get this, and I'm not making this up, and this was a picture, this was also in further evidence, just an incredible shot. Let me just show you this. That's the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, it looks like a face.
It is a face. And the Shroud of Turin is a cloth, 13 feet long, about 3.5 feet wide, and it shows, as you can see, a man lying in rigor mortis, lying in repose, who has just been brutally murdered. He's been crucified, whipped to beyond almost recognition. He's got a helmet of thorns. You can see the blood right here. A helmet of thorns. His beard has been pulled out of his face. And this is just one of the shots from the Shroud of Turin. But we that's in, I think, Watchers 3, when we interviewed Dame Isabel Pixick and Barry Schwartz about the Shroud. But here's where I'm trying to go with this. The Shroud, in my opinion, I call it God's calling card, because something happened in that tomb almost 2,000 years ago. There was, as Dame Isabel Pixick, who's a particle physicist, there was a singularity. There was a moment when space-time as we know it stopped in that tomb. All gravity, everything stopped, and there was a singularity. And that body was literally, it dematerialized from the top and also the bottom. And this is why you get this an image, the dorsal image and the front image. They're back to back. They're not connected in any way. The shroud goes over the body like this, and the image on top is not connected in any way to the image on the bottom. I point this out to say that the last Pope, Pope John Paul, before the new one, a couple of popes back, in his Dardidy, when he was getting ready to check out, and he was, Parkinson's and the whole deal. He allowed a team of German textile workers to go in and restore the shroud. What they did was destroy any and all forensic evidence for future generations. That, my friend, totally deliberate, in my opinion. Completely deliberate. And you know why? Because data had come out in 2005 that the shroud, that the carbon-14 dating on the shroud was wrong. Let's pretend this is the shroud. The testing was supposed to be 3 different samples from the shroud. When the scientists went in to take the samples, these guys in suits show up, get everybody out of the room. Hours later, they come back and they go, you can take 1 piece from this corner of the shroud. They carbon-14 dated that thing. It came back, 15th century. Oh, the shroud's a fake, blah, blah, blah. But everybody's going, wait a minute. The other evidence is a preponderance of evidence that point to the veracity of the shroud. What are we looking at here? What happened? And this husband and wife team started doing research, and they found that the 15th century fire that damaged the shroud, the poor sisters of Clare did this thing called invisible weaving, and they went into the shroud in end-to-end splices. I mean, it's unbelievable. Invisible weaving. So they said, well, they wrote a paper on it, and they said maybe
complex. Ellie, we only have like
you're running out of time here, bro.
Sir, can get DVDs and make sure people go to lamarzulli.net. You're working on art. It's out. Watchers 8. You have like an 8-disc series, right?
Yeah, it's all Watchers 1 through 8. Plus, we throw in a free calendar. Plus, you get further evidence. The book, all for $99. It's like a $190 offer. Go to lamarzulli.net or watcherstv.com. Avail yourself. This is the entire Watchers set, all 8 of them. Check it out.
That's awesome, man. And you're recently on History Channel in Search of the Lost Giants. We're going to get into that. I wanted to ask you about the Adam and Eve garments of skin and see if you knew anything about this.
You'll have to have me back, guys.
Yeah, I guess we're going to have you back, LA. And I'll send you that email with that link and those news broadcasts.
Please do.
About the ancient history there. Thanks again, LA. You want to plug your website one last time?
It is lamarzulli.net or watcherstv.com. You can get the special offer. It's almost $100 savings, so go for it.
That's awesome. Everyone, check it out. Support LA Marzulli and support people who do real investigative research.
We'll get you back on. We really appreciate it, LA.
Yeah, have a good one, LA.
All right, take care.
Definitely interesting conversation, Kristan, at the least.
Well, I understand a little bit more about what he was talking about, maybe because I don't know how in depth you've gotten into these Judaic texts.
Especially in the spiritual realm, right?
Well, isn't it? We're going to get a little bit into that this Friday with Eugene Braxton. He's been counseled. Yep, he's been out-of-body experiences, and he's been counseled at George Bush Jr., Bill Clinton, the Pope, and even Bill Gates. So we'll have to ask him about that. And he was telling me, he actually was telling me about my experiences that I had, and I thought I never had any weird experiences. Then he started asking me real questions.
Friday. LA has some interesting points. We're just going to have to bring him back, get into some more interesting details. We're
going to bring him back for our Freedom Session Friday. That's so we can go little bit over.
Out on TFR. Make sure you guys check out the Rundown Live as well. Truth Frequency Radio, Phoenix Rising's coming up next if you guys want to hang out. That being said, you can always find us on Libsyn. We have our podcast on there. We have the app. We have everything, right, Kristan?
Yeah, guys, check us out. Facebook, Twitter. You guys, make sure you guys download the Rundown Live. It's free on your cell phone and tablet. You can download this episode and listen to it. Let your friends listen to it. And make sure you guys check out our guests and our coming up.
Got to follow us on Twitter at Rundown Live, at Kristan T. Harris, at Big P Zone. And who's on tomorrow? Glenn
Zarmanoff. And then we're going to have Donald McRonald on, the anti-GMO activist.
Make sure you say it right. Donald McRonald.
Donald McRonald, guys. Check it out, therundownlive.com. There is no CFR.